Firstly, guys, I'm going to apologize in advance because I am mega ill, but I really wanted to come and see you all and talk to you all today. So, a girl's patience can only be recognized by how long she keeps her virginity. I know, right? To heal the lover's aching heart, give him a virgin to wed. I can feel your eyes rolling, don't worry, I was the same. To set fire to a church is not so bad as to speak ill of a virgin. Right, okay. So what if I told you that something you have learnt, something that you were taught throughout your childhood, something that is so internalized within you is actually a lie? I'm here to tell you that virginity is a lie. It's a social constraint, and it's actually designed, in my opinion, to police women's bodies and their sexuality. And we are so internalized in our thoughts around this that the concept of virginity is a very powerful one. And women really need to understand where this has come from, because it does carry emotional baggage. It carries baggage in relationships, leading up to relationships and throughout relationships. And it's so important women understand where that has come from, where that shame around virginity has come from. So, the way when we talk about virginity, we talk about the hymen breaking for the first time. And every time we talk about virginity since is always about the woman. Because let's be honest, who talks about male virginity? We never do. We always talk about females. And when a man loses their virginity, it's like, whoa, brilliant, he's one of the lads now, right? Come on, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you've told your friends, you've finally lost your virginity, and it's like, wow. But when a woman does it, it's a whole different story. When a woman does it, her worth is determined. She either gets slut-shamed or she gets told a whore. Worse still, these ideas are perpetuated within the school grounds, within the community centres, within the community at large. And we perpetuate that cycle by continuing to believe that virginity is something real, when in fact it isn't. Virginity has been come through religious, social and political agendas, but not through an agenda where the woman actually has to take choices and actually has a choice around what her virginity is. It also erases LGBT experiences. For example, when we talk about virginity, we talk about a heterosexual relationship. So virginity can only be lost in one way, technically. But that's not true. We know that through LGBT relationships, they don't have those same relationships. So effectively, we erase all their experiences just because of a traditional, outdated belief, which doesn't make sense in the 21st century. We shouldn't be perpetuating this ideology because, in fact, we just erase all their experiences and make it harder for the LGBT community to actually have normal relationships. I have friends and I have family that identify as LGBT but don't understand their place in the world due to this concept around virginity. I have friends and I have family that I've met on my journey with Cysters. And we did a very big campaign last year around cervical screening. And a lot of women felt that because they're technically virgin, but they are still having oral or maybe anal sex, that actually they can't pass on any sexually transmitted diseases. So women are effectively gambling with their own lives, gambling with sexually transmitted disease, purely because they don't understand the concept of virginity. They don't think they could get cervical cancer. They don't feel like they need to have cervical screenings because they haven't had penetrative sex through the vagina, because they want to preserve this ideology of virginity. How does that make any sense? How are we allowing young girls to play with their own lives because of an outdated belief? It makes no sense. Virginity was once described as a rose, and when you pluck a rose, the rose ultimately will die. So again, you perpetuate this cycle that virginity has a worth, has a value. And when you attach virginity to a value, you therefore put a woman on a pedestal, and as soon as she loses her virginity, in society's view, she's no longer worthy. Yet it's so different for a man. Why do we continue to perpetuate that cycle? And it's not just us that do that. There are big companies that do that as well. They feed off telling women they are not good enough. They feed off telling women that their bodies are not good enough. They feed off telling women to police their bodies and their sexuality. And they do that by things like hymen reconstruction, which is a booming business at the moment. Women are going to get their hymens reconstructed in the belief that they will be virgin again. It's imposterous. They are charging up to £3,000 at a time sometimes to give this illusion that a woman is a virgin, to give this illusion to the opposite sex that they have a worth. How have we allowed these big companies to perpetuate this lie and profit from telling women that we are down here? How are we allowing these companies to do that? The feeling of shame around virginity is something that we have all experienced as something. Shame means the painful feeling arising from the consciousness of something dishonorable, improper, ridiculous, done by oneself or another. And a number of women that come to us in Cysters really feel the shame of either losing their virginity or being sexually assaulted or even having penetrative sex through other means, but they really feel a sense of shame. How are we allowing women to feel shame around this issue? How are we perpetuating that cycle? How are we putting a worth on women on something that doesn't actually exist anymore? So what I'm here to do is to challenge you and ask you to understand why this conversation makes you feel uncomfortable. Because a lot of people in this room, and I can see this conversation is slightly uncomfortable because, well, let's be honest, you've never had it before. No one's ever said this to you before. How do you start to challenge your own internalized misogyny around these issues? How do you question your worth? Is your worth really placed on virginity, or is it beyond that? The way that I think that we should go forward is to talk and have honest, real, open conversations about sexual health, about virginity, about LGBT, about everything, changing the narrative on what woman is, because a woman is not defined by her virginity. A woman is not defined by the amount of people that she has slept with. A woman is not defined by any of that. The same way a man is not just one of the lads because he slept with someone. The sexual double standards relating to virginity are the worst, and that is the biggest problem because it's so different for both sexes, and that's what's so dangerous. So I want to challenge you all. I want to make you all think, because this is an issue, and we don't want our future generations to have their worth placed on such a big thing, when in fact it's just a way to police women's bodies. It's a way to curb sexuality. It's a way for someone else to tell women, actually, you're still down here. It's that internalized misogyny that you actually don't realize you carry because it's just so internalized. And it's taken me years and years and years of unlearning to get to this point. If you asked me 10 years ago about virginity, I would have said, well, no, it's when the hymen breaks and that's it. But since starting Cysters, since seeing how damaging virginity can be to women, I've realized actually it's not worth it. It's not worth watching women struggle, feel guilty, feel ashamed because they've been in relationships and therefore hiding it from their families or hiding it from their partners because of that shame that they carry relating to virginity. It's not worth it. So I want you to challenge yourselves. Think about where you've got these internalized thoughts from. Challenge them. Challenge your cultural misogyny. Challenge yourself. Don't let the next generation be defined or have their worth defined by something as silly as virginity. Thank you.